welcome to video 4 of your training. In this video we want to talk about long trades or buy trades, and we're just going to show you how to use this Forex trading system to make long trades, and we'll give you some real examples as well. To begin with, let's just talk about the rules for long trades. As I said in the last video, these are largely the same as for short trades, they're just reversed. We look for two criteria before entering a buy trade. We do so when these two conditions happen. The EMA 5 crosses over so that it is above the EMA 12. So on your charts, it's the blue line crossing over the green line, and it is now above the green line. And then we wait for the parabolic SAR dot to appear below the price candlestick at that point of the crossover. So once we do that, we enter the trade, and when we enter the trade, we place a protective stop loss at 50 pips. And to exit the trade, we exit the trade when the parabolic SAR dot appears above the price candlestick. Again, you can use the alternative exit method of trailing the stop at 50 pips. When you're just starting out, this method is the simplest, so that's the method that I'm going to use in the examples. So let's look at this here, and then we'll show you some real examples on the charts. So looking at this chart here, we first need to look to see that the EMA 5 crosses above the EMA 12, which it has done here. And at that point, we need the parabolic SAR dot to appear below that candle where the crossover occurred. So again, that's happened in this case. So we're ready to enter the trade. We enter the trade at the point where this occurs, and we set a stop loss 50 pips back. So we enter our buy trade. Our stop loss is 50 pips behind, and then we're ready to manage the trade as we're in it. We exit the trade, we stay in this trade until the parabolic SAR dot appears above a candlestick, which in this case happened here. And alternatively, if you wanted to use the other method of exiting a trade with this system, you could trail your stop at 50 pips and hopefully ride out the trend. When you're just starting out, use this method, exit the trade when the parabolic dot appears above a candlestick. Let's take a look at this on some real charts in MetaTrader and show you some real examples of long trades. Okay, so looking at an example trade that we made in January. This one is on the Euro US dollar chart. This one is a 1-hour chart again. And we start by looking for our criteria to enter a trade. In this case, we're looking for the EMA 5, which is the blue line, to cross above the EMA 12, which has happened at this point. And at the same time, we're looking for the parabolic SAR dot to appear below the candle just after the crossover, or at the same point as the crossover, which has happened here. So we now have our criteria to enter the trade. So we buy in, we enter a buy trade, and we set our stop loss 50 pips behind. So we entered this one at 1.4323, which is the point where the parabolic SAR dot appeared. And we set our stop loss 50 pips behind to 1.4273. And again, in this case, managing the trade is quite simple. We simply stay in this trade, leave our stop loss at 50 pips behind, stay in the trade until a parabolic SAR dot appears above a candlestick. So that happened way up here, and we exited our trade at 1.4530. So in this case, that's a 207 pip profit, and this particular trade lasted from January 8th, about midday on January 8th, through to the afternoon on the 11th. So in 3 days, we earned 207 pips on this trade. And let's take a look at one more example here. Okay, looking at another example, we're looking at the US dollar Japanese yen, again on a 1-hour chart. And once again, we're looking for our criteria to enter the trade. We're looking for the EMA 5 to cross over the EMA 12 so that it is above it. And in this case, it happens here. The blue line crosses to be above the green line. So that's our first criteria. And then we look for the parabolic SAR dot to appear below the candle. And that happened on this bar here. So in this case, we entered our long trade at 89.79. And when we entered the trade, we set our stop loss 50 pips back to 89.29. So now we're in the trade. We simply manage the trade as per our rules. In this case, we simply stay in it until a parabolic SAR dot appears above a candlestick. And in this case, it happens at 90.40. So in this case we made 61 pips and the trade itself lasted just 5 or 6 hours. I wanted to show this as the last trade example in this video for one simple reason. This is one of those cases where using the alternative method to exit the trade may have worked well. None of these bars in here is over 50 pips. The way I just presented it was the way we actually made the trade. But as you gain more experience, if you want to use an alternative exit strategy and trail your stop 50 pips behind, you would use a trailing stop and your stop would move up as the price did. And at this point, you would have come close to stopping out, but it wouldn't have quite happened. And in fact, with this particular trade, you wouldn't have stopped out until a few days later, about this point. So drawing a line there, you would have stood to make about 91.40 would have been the exit point. So it would have been 100 pips instead of 61. Just something to note that it can be worth using the exit strategy, the other exit strategy, as you gain more experience with this system. As you're starting out, use the one that we showed you with the parabolic SAR dot. It's easy. And then as you gain some more experience, try trailing your stop. Try it with 1 or 2 currency pairs when you're starting out and see if you can squeeze more profits out of your trades that way. Now that you've watched some example trades of both short trades in the last video and long trades in this video, move on to video 5 to learn about the time frames you should be using that will work with this particular trading system. We'll talk about currency pairs, and we're going to talk about money management, which is very important to your success in Forex overall. And then once you're done watching that video, make sure that you take the time to practice both short and long trades on the MetaTrader platform until you're completely comfortable using this system. Doing so will ensure that you profit more.